Planning. How do you plan what you're going to do within your business? I'm on Canva. I'll leave a link in the description. Anyone can sign up who wants to. You can sign up for free. I use the pro version, which I think costs me about a tenner a month. You get a few extra templates and bits and pieces which make life a little bit easier. And some of these templates suit the purpose of what we're going to be talking about today. But because anyone that's signing up for this for free isn't going to have that, we're just going to use kind of straightforward, the basics. So we'll go into our elements. So we've got our sticky notes. Right, so planning. There's two directions in which you can plan. You can start at the beginning and work the way through to what you could achieve. Or, which is my preferred way, you start with what you want to achieve and then you work your way back to see what you need to do to be able to do that. Yeah, makes sense. So first thing, choose colours. So for the purpose of this, I'm going to use green for final goals. So for example, we're doing this from an eBay point of view, an eBay book selling point of view, so I'll use my own kind of experience in store to demonstrate how this would work, but it can be put onto anything at all. So I want a store with 10,000 items. I'll even spell it right. Okay, so there's my first goal that I want to achieve. Right, what else do I want? I want to quit my job. There you go, you can get an idea. It really is everything and anything that you want to achieve through the business. Right, so we want a store of a certain size. I want to be able to quit my job. So if I want to be able to quit my job, what do I need? Let's say I want to earn, let's say 50k profit per annum. Okay, so there's the other one. Right, now I'm not going to go any further with these because when you look at these, that's in the future. Okay, to be honest, I have already quit my job. I do other things now. I do still want to earn at least 50k a year, and I do want to get up to a store with 10,000 items. At the moment, I'm about halfway to that, but that's irrelevant for the purpose of this. So, assuming that you're starting from scratch, you're starting from zero, you don't have any of these things yet, you're not anywhere near what you can and can't do. So, you need to find some intermediate goals. So that's your long-term goal. Long-term could be 6 months, a year, 5 years, 10 years, but let's find the intermediate goal. So what's next? So let's go with another little green one. So to get to 10,000, I want, let's try that again. I want a store with 5,000 items. There you go, it's a bit more modest. Plonk that up there next to that one. Right, so at 5,000, maybe I don't want to quit my job, but I want to be making money. To earn, let's just chop it in half for the sake of what we're doing here. Oh, 325k, that would be nice. Profit per annum. Now, always be careful and consistent with the language you use. So you could say I want £20,000 sales per annum, which you could achieve much more easily, but you might make £5 profit. So be very clear whether or not you want to make a certain level of sales or you want to make a certain level of profit. Each relates to the other. Right, so that's our medium terms. Next, where do we want to get started? So at start point, you could take it to, I want a store with, let's say, 500 items. Let's blank him up here. Or, let's take it even more to the beginning. You want a store with 100 items. Okay, so I'm not going to bother putting profit scores in below these at the moment, but let's look at where we want to get to. So we want to get to 10,000 items, and to do that we're going to get up to 100, then 500, then 5,000. So already we've got a bit of a plan progressing here. And this is just a planning tool. This isn't going to be a business map or anything. This is really just a tool to get on with the planning. So let's take, I want a store with 100 items and work with it. So we'll move all of these out of the way. We'll just stack them to the side. Now you don't want to delete things. Once you've stuck them up there, keep them there. Because as you'll see as you go through this, what you've got on here will relate to and become relevant to what you're currently working on in the middle. So if you want a store with 100 items, what do you need to do to get to a store with 100 items? So let's choose another colour. This is our next level. So we need to source 100 items. Seems obvious. Just plonk them up there. You can add in build eBay store. In fact, I'll put a few in this same tab. Create business policies. Okay, and we'll keep that there because there'll be other things we'll add that we need to do on the eBay side, and there'll be other things we need to do on the sourcing side. But what else do you need to do? You need to consider, you're running this as a business, it's not just a hobby. If I could spell, it would be so much easier, or type even. I can't actually spell, I just can't type. Open business account. So that's the financial stuff you need to be doing. Right, let's just go back into this one. Register limited company. Get book keeping software. Various things that you'll have to do and think about. And as you're going through this, when you think of anything, have lists like this that you can just add to as you go along. You're not necessarily going to do anything with this at the moment, opening an account, registering for it as a limited company, getting your bookkeeping software sorted out. You might not even be building your eBay store at the moment or creating those business policies, but create these lists so that you've got them ready, and it's what you need to do to get to your store with 100 items. So we're going to move this down, we're going to move this up, and we're going to bring this dude into the middle. What do you need to do to source 100 items? Okay, first up, consider what you're going to sell. So sticking with what I do at the moment, selling books. So I think I can buy books at £3 for £1. Yeah, so let's go into another colour. Oops, wrong bit of it I clicked. So buying books at £3 for £1. So what's that going to cost you? 33 quid. There to thereabouts. Right. So there's the first thing that you're going to need. You're going to need £33. Logical. You need £33 to go out and buy 100 books. Yeah. So that's your first expense as such. Right. What else do you need to think about? Where can you source? So right, so you get three options, and when you create a question, it doesn't mean that you've got all the answers at the moment. It's the same with all this. You don't have all the answers to any of these things. You're building up the picture of what it is you need to do and what you need to think about. So you go where to source. So you go, okay, so the options I've got are my local charity shops, local car boots, using my own books, and you can then edit and add to that. So you've got 50 of your own books you want to get rid of. Say there's, I mean, I'm just making this stuff up. There's no car boot sales to the summer. And there's only 2 shops that are selling at 3 for £1. Right, so you've got a bit of a where to source thing you need to go and work out. So you've said, right, okay, I can use the charity shops, can do the car boot sales, own my own books. You've looked in your shelf and said, right, those 50 I can throw into the pile. Oh, there's no car boot sales nearby until the weather improves, getting into spring, summer. Local charity shops, well, there's 6 in the area. I thought it would be good, but there's actually only 2 of them where I can get books cheap enough to justify what I want to do with them. The rest are all charging £2 and £3 a book, and when you look at the average selling prices, it's £2 or £3, so there's absolutely no profit in that side of it. Right, now I'm hoping that what I've said there has led you to another question. How do you know how cheap to buy them for and what to sell them for? So let's have another colour. This will become very messy for a while and then you get to organise it. It's great fun, honest. How much can I sell books for? So let's have another question. And you go on, and don't try and abbreviate the notes that you're making in these too much, because you'll come back in a week's time and 2 weeks' time and wonder what the heck you were talking about. So let's make sure it's clear. So say the average sale price is about £3, but don't charge P&P. Right, so there, this creates a problem for us. What can we do to compete with that? Let's have another post-it. Obvious question. How can you sell books to compete with other sellers? And you'll have to go and do your research. You've done your research and offer, say, multi-buy discounts and charge P&P as well. So if people only buy one book from you, they're going to pay the normal price plus the postage and packaging, and that's their choice. But if you offer multi-buy discounts, then you can still sell your books and charge postage on top of it, so people are still going to make enough of a saving that it's either competitive with, equal to, or more competitive than the other sellers that are out there. You don't want to be overly competitive, because the danger is there that somebody else sees your price and undercuts you by 5p, and then somebody else does the same and the same and the same and the same, and there's millions of books on eBay. So the risk is everybody can start a snowball effect, basically. So you want to keep it round about the right kind of pricing, and find other ways of making it a competitive edge, such as the multi-buy discounts, etc, etc. Right, so we're now getting into it. You've got 50 books already that you can sell, so you're going to have to go out and buy another 50 books. So it's going to cost you £32.50, £16.50. Okay, so you're going to need your £16.50 and go out and find 50 books. Now you can take this further and start thinking about what kind of books you want to buy. So let's just chuck up a wee freshie. In my experience, if you want to sell lots, you want books that are similar to each other. So books that are by the same author is a good place to start within the same series. So you're going to go out and find 50 books by, the same author. You won't find 50 by the one, but you might find 10 lots of 5 from different authors. Right, you're sourcing. You've decided how you're going to sell them. So average sale price is about £3. You're going to stick with that, but you're going to charge postage and you're going to put a multi-buy discount on it as well. You know what your fees are going to be. So you've looked at setting up your eBay store, creating your business policies, etc. So you know that your store fees are going to be, for example, £30 a month. And this is where we start getting into some detail. So let's just push him back up to there. Bring that up into the middle. Not into it. There we go. Costs. So eBay store is going to cost you £30 a month, but what does that get you? It pays for 250 listings, so that's a good start. You can decide whether you want to spend the £30 on your store and get 250 listings, or just pay per listing, which is going to be about 12 pence a listing. And if you're doing 100, it's going to cost you, what, 12 quid. So you can decide whether or not you want to get into that at this point, but do your research, know what's going on. P&P is going to be £3 per package. Now if you're using Every or Yodel, it might be a wee bit less than that. If you're using Royal Mail, it might be a bit more than that, depending on the size of the package that gets sent out. It could be substantially more than that, but decide how you want to do your shipping, and put your options in there if you want to. So you could say, right, if I ship by Every, it's going to be £2.80. If I ship by Royal Mail, second class, tracked, it's going to be £2.30, although I think those prices are about to go up by quite a chunk. Work out what you need there. Packaging. You've created another question. So if you're going to post something, you need to have the item, you need to be able to post it, but you need to be able to pack it. So where's your packaging going to come from? So we've got more questions. And they're pretty straightforward questions. What are you going to need, and how much is it going to cost you to get it? So you can buy padded envelopes, you can buy just plastic mailers and wrap your stuff in card, or get some bubble wrap. If you've ordered a few things online, you'll see how it's come. You'll know whether or not you liked that packaging, whether or not it kept your items protected. So you can decide how you're going to do that. So say you're going to go for, no, we're not going to go for padded envelopes, because to be honest, if you're selling bundles, then a padded envelope ain't going to cut it. You need something that you can get 5 books into. So you want bags, and you want bubble wrap. So bags, you're going to pay about £9 per 100. Bubble wrap, let's say it's going to cost you £12 per 100 metres. So, excuse me, £9 divided by 100 is 9 pence. Bit more difficult to work out the bubble wrap. You would need to actually take some books and start wrapping them to see what it's going to take. But say that 100 metres gets you, again, this is based on roughly what I get out of it, 75 orders, which equals, so 100 divided by 75, so not 100 divided by 75, 12 divided by 75 is, wait a minute, I had this in my head a minute ago and I've completely forgotten, 16 pence. Why am I doing it one way or the other and another not the mode? So you're looking at about 25 pence. £25 per parcel. So it's going to cost you £3 to post it. It's going to cost you 25 pence to pack it. So £3.25. So what that does is tells you how much you want to charge per postage. And once you've got that there, you can chuck that in. So that's your postage cost worked out essentially. You already know that you're going to just match average sale price for any items that you're listing. So £3.25 is what you can charge for postage, assuming it's a £3 and a 25p. But bear in mind, eBay charges you fees on your postage that you take in as well. So if you charge £3.25 in postage and you've got promoted listings up and running and your basic selling fees, then you could be paying another 25% of that in fees. So £3.25, what's 325 divided by 4? Let's do that. 3.25 divided by 4. So it's another 80 pence that eBay are going to take from you, potentially up to 80 pence for charging £3.25 in postage. So take that into account and make your postage and packaging costs reflect what it is actually going to cost you to post and package them. Don't go too high, don't get ridiculous, but take that into account. When you're selling an item for £3 and you're losing 80 pence of that straight away simply for the fees that you're going to pay in your packaging, then it can wipe out any money that you're going to make very, 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 very quickly. All making sense so far? So far, to have a store with 100 items, you need to source 100 items. You know that you want to go out and pay 33 pence a book. So you've got 50 you can use. You need to go out and buy 50 and it's going to cost you about £16.50. You're going to look for books by the same author. You're going to order up your packaging materials. So you'll get £9 for your bags. You're going to pay 12 quid for your 100 metres of bubble wrap. So again, you can add that on to your costs tab, as it were. Let's put them in to put the big totals in here. So that's going to be find the beat, Ian. Bubble wrap, 12 quid. Bags, 9 quids. I'll put that in brackets because that's just what we're looking at there, man. Right, I'll move him over there just now. So, we've vanished. Let's bring it back onto the page. Got a very weird mouse. Okay, so costs, very important. You may or may not go with eBay Store. You're going to need £3 per package once you've made the sale. Up front, you need £12 for your bubble wrap, £9 for your bag. Stock, you're looking for about £16.50. So straight away, this is what you're going to need to spend to get a store ready to sell 100 items. So 16, 25, £37. It's not a lot of money, but it's more than, if you've got absolutely nothing sitting about, then 37 quid is a lot of money. If you've got a bit of pocket change, then it's not a huge amount of money, but it's really important you work out what you will need to start selling and you get it up front. Don't go out and buy a bundle of books, list them, and then think about packaging, because if you don't have packaging and you need to go out and buy it at retail price, then it's going to cost you an absolute fortune. You'll be paying, £1, £2 for a bag. You'll be paying £3 for like a couple of metres of bubble wrap. It's a massive, massive difference between buying it bulk through Amazon or eBay or whatever else and having to go into the local post office or the local corner shop, whatever it is, and buying it there where it's massively inflated. Because when people buy in there, they buy because they need to buy at that point, and basically they will charge whatever they want. So work these things out, get them in up front. You're not going to use all of that packaging straight away. If you're talking about having 100 items in your store, then the next thing you're going to do is work out how many you're actually going to sell and at what rate, and that'll give you an idea about how long that is going to last. So let's look at that next piece there. Let's move our costs over here where we can come back to them. And we'll move our sourcing element up there just now. Right, so we want another question. This is the biggie really, isn't it? If you get your 100 items in your store, how many are you going to sell? It's not a question that you can answer with any certainty, but you can take an educated guess. And it could be that for the first 2 weeks, you sell nothing. You know, your listings get momentum. eBay allows you to list 100 items, because if you're brand new to it and you've got a new account, you're not going to be able to list 100 items straight away. You're going to have to build up to it. However, it might be that you're not listing 100 items, you're only listing 10 items, and you've got 10 by each author, or whatever multiple it is that you're selling on. So with book sales, what I typically find is I get about a 2% daily sell-through rate. Sorry, not a 2% daily sell-through rate, a 2% weekly sell-through rate at the moment, which is really, 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 really low for me. But consider what the lowest possible option is. Don't go, oh, I think I could get a 20% sell-through with these. You might, but the chances are that you won't. So aim low, go all the way down and think, right, well, actually, I think I can sell 1% per day, which is reasonable. And that's not 1% of value, but that's 1% of the stock. So that equals 1 book a day. You're selling in bundles of 5, for example. So that means 1 sale per week. And that 1 sale per week is going to bring in, again, we'll be looking at costing and pricing in another video, but for now, let's say that 1 sale per week brings you in £10. So you've sold 5 books for £10. £10 a week, having 100 items in store, and you already know that you're paying out nearly £4 of that on postage costs and eBay's fees in the postage, and those 5 books have cost you £1.50. So you're all the way down to £4.50, and then you've got the eBay fees to come off the actual book sales, which could be another £1 to £2. So in reality, that £10, you're maybe going to make £3 off of that, which brings us back to looking at these. If you want to earn £25,000 profit, you now have a baseline to consider whether or not these items are relatable. Let's just chuck in another little box here for the sake of discussing that option. So 5 books equals £3 profit. So 25k profit equals, let's clear 25, 1, 2, 3, and how many books are we selling at a time? 5. Does that match? It does, but that's because that's where I am at the moment, so I kind of know it matches. So that matches up fine with that. You can then do the same if you've got 10,000 items. Can you make 50k profit? Now, all these other things that we're looking at, which let's go to another little question, which will pop down here. How long does it take to pick up stock, list books, pick, post, sales? So when you're looking at scaling up on the cost side, then you need to know, so to make, in the purest sense, you can make £3 profit for every 5 books that you sell. So therefore, if you've got 5,000 items selling, then you can make £25 profit in a year. Yeah, you're talking about 5 books a week. I mean, you scale that up obviously, but we'll not go anywhere near that just now. But how long does it take to do all of these things? So if you're going out to pick up stock, at first you spend an hour looking for 50 books, but that process will get refined. So it might turn out that it's 1 hour for 200 books. How long does it take you to list those 200 books? Maybe at the start it's going to take you 3 hours, and you're getting a sale a day, 10 minutes. So you can go out and pick up 200, but you're only actually going to list 50 at a time. So you can add to that, well, not add to it, but you can separate that out. So it's going to take you 45 minutes. So in a typical week, you're going to have, when you're starting out, so you get your 100 books, it's going to take you 45 minutes to list 50 of them. It's going to take you an hour to go out and pick up the stock, so that's an hour and 45, and it's going to take you 10 minutes to do the picking and the packing them all up. But it's also another 20 minutes to get to the post office and back, so it's actually another half hour. So an hour and 15, 2 hours 15 to do your store with 100 items, 2 hours 15 every week. Now you need to work out whether or not this will be worth your while before you go and do any of these other things. So this is kind of the brainstorming bit, just mashing it all together. So if you're going to spend 2.5 hours a week doing this, what is your time worth? If you've got spare time and you're not doing anything else with it, so you're not losing anything, then you could be quite happy to just be making £5-10 a week at the moment whilst you build everything up. But if your time's valuable and you could be doing something else which adds either value to your lifestyle or puts money in your bank account, then you need to decide whether or not you're going to do anything more. So to get that one sale and make that £3 profit, initially it's going to take you a couple of hours a week. That is not a good hourly rate. £1 an hour, not worth doing for the vast majority of people. But if you're looking to say, right, in the first week I'm going to sell that one order, and to be honest, that's very much underestimating the potential. So if you only sell the one, then you've got your £3 profit back in, you've got your pound odd that you spent in the books, you've got another £5, and you can go out and buy another 10 books. So then your stock becomes 110, and the following week it's 120 point something, then 132, and then 145, and it will build up from there just doing that. If you have more upfront money to start, so you're not just going to spend £16.50 on another 50 books, you're actually going to put £100 in the bank. So potentially you've got 300 books that you can go out and buy over the next week or two. Then very quickly this will begin to expand, and you will find that these times don't increase dramatically. So the listing the books is, you're going to list 100 books a week, so it's maybe going to end up taking you about an hour once you're into the flow of it. The pick, pack, post, most of that time was going to the post office. So picking and packing and posting, again, instead of going up to wherever you've got your books stored, up in the attic, grabbing a book or 5, bringing it all the way back down to wherever you're going to do your posting, sorting out the labels, packing it all up, you'll be going up and you'll be grabbing 20 at a time and bringing them down and doing 4 or 5 orders all in one go. That becomes much, much quicker. So instead of it taking you 2 hours plus to do one order in total, and that includes obviously getting your stock and listing everything, it's going to take you maybe 3 hours to do 5 orders, and that 5 orders is going to make you £15 profit or more. You will have bigger sales than that. Still only a £5 an hour, but you can see how very quickly that can increase and make more money for you. So I'm not going to spend much more on this, running through these tabs just now. You would want to look at, right, okay, at the moment, £1 an hour is not worth my while, but if I expand these items, at what point does it become worth my while? So that might be where you then move all of this to the side and start building around wanting a store with 500 items. So if you had 500 items, what would that mean? 500 items would turn into 5 books a day, 7 days in the week. So suddenly you've got 7 orders going out, an order a day of 5 books. So by increasing it by 5, you're going to have 6 or 7 times the sales coming through. So instead of £3 a week, you're making £21 a week. And as I said just previously, it's not going to take a huge amount of time more. And this, just to reiterate again, this is just considering what you're going to do. This is not the active business plan or anything. This is for you to start drawing up things, looking at what you could do, what's achievable, weeding out early on what isn't worth your while. Some of these require research. So, how to buy packaging. When you approach this the first time, well, I've not even included it in there because we've not got that far, but where do you buy it from? You look in eBay, you look in Amazon, you look in local suppliers and find out what the right price is for you at that point. It might be that you can, pay £9 for 100, but £20 for 1,000. So you go and buy 1,000 straight away because you will use them over a period of time. It might be that it's £9 for 100 or £6 for 50. So you're just going to go out and get 50 straight away. It's if you're buying in major bulk, those price differences are huge. But when you're starting out and trying things, maybe that's the right way to go. So you do your research and fill in all of these bits and pieces. How can I sell books to compete? You do your research, you look, if eBay is your selling platform, how do multi-buy discounts work? What other ways can I promote my books? How can I make sure that I can get in front of buyers and be at a price where they're likely to buy from me? How much can you sell them for? It goes hand in hand with that one there. If you're talking about selling, let's pick an author at random, Jeffrey Deaver. So how many Jeffrey Deaver books sell every day and what do they sell for? You can find that on eBay. You go and you look and you find out what those average prices are and what, the typical sell-through rate of those are. Are there 10,000 books listed and 500 sell a day? Are there 20,000 books listed and 10 sell a day? You look at that and then that also informs, what you're going to pick up, which books you're actually going to grab. So that takes you to your sourcing piece. And keep playing with this. See when you've got it down, you think, right, that's the plan. Go away, come back, and look at it afresh. And, when stuff's all cluttering up, so 10,000 and 5,000, you're saying that's not relevant at the moment. Building an eBay store, I'm not really caring about that just now. Open business accounts, I'll worry about that later. What I want to think about right now is how many sales can I actually make. So this is a play pen. Let's call it a play pen. So you use this to just pick out what you want, where you're going to go, and if you think you want to start making links to things, then you can. So there you go. That's not a relevant link at all, but you can start mapping things out and create a wee bit of a flowchart on that side too. But again, we'll look at that another time because process is really key, but it's more important once you actually know what you're going to do rather than before you start with it. But Canva does it all, baby. I'll take that arrow out because it just confuses matters. So, in short, get some sort of post-it board that you can use. To be honest, I actually prefer using real post-its on a wall, but that's just me. That doesn't work well for demonstrating to this. Come up with what your all your different goals, aims and ambitions are. And I've only put a few things down here. This list could be 30, 40, 50 long. It could be anything at all. Rather than I want to earn £50,000 profit a year, I want enough spare money to pay for a family holiday, to make my car payments, to clear off my mortgage, to move to the Bahamas, get a hair transplant, whatever it might be. You can get that in there and make it whatever you want, but get all those goals and ambitions down of what you want to achieve from your business, not just what your business aims and goals are, but what you personally want to achieve from that business. Having done this in the past, one that comes up often is, as a business, I want to provide employment and additional economy to my local area. Words to that effect. People frames it in different ways, but they want to create 10 jobs for the community, so that they're putting, hundreds of thousands of pounds back into the community, your local community, every year. All of these things can be goals and ambitions. You want a business which you can at some point sell. You want a business that can have a viable exit plan. If that's one of your ambitions and you start looking at this, and you're going to start with an eBay store and go out and buy random bits of clothing and bric-a-brac and whatever and sell that on, then part of the planning from that initial start would be, how do you get from doing that to having a business that actually has value that somebody else would be willing to buy and take on? Because to be honest, unless you're able to train other people up to do that you can sell with the business, when you leave, the business is over. So getting everything down that you possibly want to achieve then lets you see whether or not it will be viable at any point. And don't rush into things. Do this planning. Have scribble pads as well, notebooks, scribble pads, notebooks, whatever you want to call them, and just keep chucking down the different ideas and the different things you might want to do, because inspiration comes at any point. Sitting watching the telly, chatting to your mates, whatever it might be, at some point something will pop into your head. So always have some easy way of doing it, notes on your phone, whatever it might be, and scribble down those little bits and pieces, and then come back and add them to your planning board, which you can turn into a mind map and do all sorts of wonderful things with. But keep planning and keep planning and keep planning, and once you finish planning, go away and come back and see if it still makes sense. It's really easy, and it's a trap I've fallen into in the past, where you go down a rabbit hole saying, let's take this for example, a store with 10,000 items so I can quit my job and make 50 grand a year just selling stuff on eBay for a few hours a day. Fantastic. And you could do some very rough arithmetic up at the top and say, right, so to buy 10,000 I need £3,000 for stock. Great, I can do that. And if I've got 10,000 items and I'm selling at 1%, then that means I'm going to be selling 100 items a day, and that means that I'm going to be making £200 a day, which turns into, you get the idea. And that's great. You plan all that out, and then you go out and you buy 10,000 books and you try and put them on your bookshelf. 10,000 books takes up a lot of space. That's kind of, almost, well, actually it would be 2 normal sized bedrooms to store 10,000 books where you could still access them. That's an approximation, but that's roughly what it's going to take, and even that's going to be crammed. So if you ain't got 2 spare rooms, then to get to this level, the other things you need to be thinking about would be, well, actually I'm going to need some sort of business space. I can't work this from home. To get that business space, what's that going to cost? So suddenly it's going to cost you £5,000 a month. I know that's really expensive, but let's just say £5,000 a month for some warehouse space. There goes your profit. So use this to plan through everything as much as you can. If your ambition is to get to 500 items, then if you've got 500 items, you can do that with a big bookshelf, but you can do it with normal space in your house. 5,000 items, you need a spare room. 10,000 items, you need somewhere to work from. This is where I am at the moment with this particular thing, book business that I've got. I've got about 5,000 in stock, and it's at tipping point. I will need to get somewhere where I can store them to move on to the next stage of the selling business. But to do that, I want to, again, I'm not going to share my plan, but it's what do I need to do to get to the point where it's worth getting a unit. So do I need to get to 10,000? Do I need to have 15? Do I need to have 20? Do I need to have 50,000 items to justify going to that next step? So how do I go from 5,000, for example, and it's something I'm considering, up to 50,000 in stock? What will that take to do? And I plan all that out. I am still planning all of that out using this same technique. So it's, it's another 45,000 stock items. I've been able to source them quickly and effectively so that I can get them all up and listed to start paying for the storage space, which is going to require, well, I know it says 10,000 items, but the storage space that I'll need for those 50,000 items, and how much assistance am I going to need to actually list, pick, pack, etc. those sales that will be generated from that volume. So everything leads to everything else. Anyway, I hope that has been helpful to somebody. I hope it gives you some ideas. None of this is new ideas, a planning process, but a lot of people, again, in my experience, having helped a lot of businesses, individuals in all sorts of industries over the years, a lot of people just skip this point. They want to be they want to do this, and they jump straight into it, and then you start finding all the bumps in the road. Find the bumps in the road now, wherever you can, and even at that, it won't go as planned. There'll still be something to stick it, but get as much down as you can. Think about all the things that could potentially go wrong, and underestimate all the things that could potentially go right. Overpromise, underdeliver, not what you want to do. You want to underpromise. This is to yourself, not necessarily to customers, but you want to underpromise yourself what can be achieved and what you want to do, and then overdeliver it. So always work that way around. Anyway, I shan't keep you any longer. I hope this has been helpful in some way, and see you next time. Love you. Bye.